Hi, everybody. It's Mary, and I'm so excited to be with you today. Thank you so much for spending your Wednesday time with me. We're going to start exactly on time at 10 o'clock. And if you'd just like to share in the chat box where you're joining us from, that would be great. If you're coming to us from yesterday, we had some people on a call from British Columbia, and we had some people coming in from Spain. So it was really fun. And I'm so excited to have everybody here today. Hi, Karen, coming in from Manassas. Jimmy, thanks for joining us from North Carolina. Kevin, how are you, my friend, from Gillette, Wyoming? One of my favorite places on the planet is Gillette, Wyoming. Um, I, when I first moved out to the West, I spent time in the Navy, about 26 years. And then my last job was teaching at the Naval Academy, and I drove west. And I found Wyoming, and I went, wow, I think I found my people, and they are in Wyoming. So I love any excuse to get to Wyoming. So thanks for joining us there. And oh, wonderful. And then someone's from Texas. I can't see a name. That's fine. William, thank you for joining us from Portland, Maine. Christy, how in the world are you? And I hope you're doing great in this whole virus crisis, as we are talking about today. Nancy from Virginia. Madeline, I am also in Monument, Colorado, just right by the Doughwood Gate, if you know where that is. And Crystal's coming in from Kentucky. Go Navy, Bean Army. Thanks, Jimmy. I appreciate that so much. And this is going to be fun. So this is just the shortened version of the 7 steps to leading during a crisis. And I'm just so excited that you all joined us. So Christy, because you're tuning in, I just want to share with you one of my secret tips when I do programs like this. And so I'll just share with you. I have a separate computer here. So I use my main computer that I'm looking at you on. But if you see, it looks like there's 2 Mary Kellys, and that would actually be true. This is my second computer, and it sits to the right of me. And that allows me to see the chat window as well as some of the other things. What I do is I mute that computer. I keep that video off and that audio off so I can just monitor the chat and also make sure that, my hair is doing what my hair should do. And that's really what I worry about. So I know you all really wanted to hear that as well. But that's the way I do that. In many of these video conferences, as you know, I like the chat window better than the Q&A because you have to be a panelist to review the Q&A. And this way, I can log in as just a participant so that I see what participants see, and again, monitor that chat. So as long as everybody is sending everything to all panelists and attendees, then I can see that, and that works great. It is really helpful to have 2 computers. So yeah, and that's what I've been doing this for years. As some of you know, I started teaching online, oh my gosh. So it was way back in the late 90s that the school I was teaching for, Hawaii Pacific University, I was teaching economics for them, wanted to experiment with some online classes. And that was back when Blackboard and WebCT had not yet merged, and we were using WebCT, and then we migrated over to Blackboard, and then we came on back. So we've been doing this for a while, and I like tools and tricks and things like that. Today, you're also, if you didn't already, hey, Lori, yes, you and Jimmy both, Lori, that's so awesome. Thank you for sharing this. And this is gonna be fun. So from Laramie, oh, see, my Wyoming people. Oh, my heart is just so happy to see you. Thank you so, so much. I appreciate that more than I can express. And so today, again, afterwards, you will get the recording. It takes me a little while to do the trimming because nobody wants to see me jumping on and fixing my hair. And then, and you'll also get the 5-minute plans. So I have exactly 10 o'clock. I would love to get started. So welcome everybody to 7 steps. This is the summary version of leading your way through the virus crisis. Now, again, we don't need to go over what got us here. We all know what got us here. We are in the middle of a global pandemic. And for many people, it has shifted our workplace trends for 2020 and beyond. Again, if my list for workplace trends 6 months ago was very different for 2020 and beyond than what it is right now. So we have had to reassess, redefine, reconfigure, and re-engage on ways and levels that we haven't had to do before. So what does this look like? Well, remember, across all sectors, and if you get nothing else out of today, across all sectors, what people want, and it does not matter if you work at a local retail store or a gardening store or at a fast food restaurant, across all sectors, what people want is a good quality product. They want their interactions with people to be pleasant, and they want a process and a procedure that is easy to do. Now, in any case, if your people are not giving you what you need from them, one of the biggest questions I ask right away is the process and the procedure easy for them to do what it is you need them to do? And this is part of leading through a crisis. We have to continue to be positive because we're the leaders. That's how it works. Can you have a breakdown? Sure. Just do it by yourself or call me. I will cheerfully listen. But we have to make the process and the procedures that we need people to do during a crisis easy. Now, every time there's some kind of crisis, we reject the crisis early on. And many of us, we heard about it and we're like, oh, it's just like the bad flu. It's going to be fine. We're going to be fine. It's going to be fine. So we kind of reject the idea that it's that bad. And then we're like, oh, okay, well, maybe we can work from alternate locations. As long as we take a few precautions, we're going to be fine. And then it was, oh no, we've kind of got this situation where we recognize we have to change certain things. But then part of us says, wow, we're going to save money on gas and dry cleaning. We get to work from home and this is going to be awesome. So we recognize this. And our brain is pretty quick sometimes to see the positives. And then we say, well, this is great. I can stay home. I can work from home. This is going to be great. And then we get into the realization of, wow, this could actually last for weeks and maybe months. And then we start to think, oh gosh, what do we need? What do we need? I need better Wi-Fi. Maybe my family is driving me crazy. Maybe my sweet and adorable baby is not nearly as helpful at home when I'm trying to work as I thought. And then what happens is we repeat those two phases. We say, okay, this will be fine. We got this. We can work from home. Oh gosh, now what are we going to do? Now there's no eggs at the store. I really miss my office more than I ever thought I'd miss my office before. And I need toilet paper. So I don't know how y'all are doing on the toilet paper, but I haven't bought any new toilet paper because, I haven't been able to find any, but we're all fine. And then we get into the resolution phase. Now remember, our brain likes to hang on to solutions. And once we get past those phases, we say, okay, we're in this together. We'll do this as long as it takes. And then we alter some things in our office to maybe make things a little bit easier to work from home. We settle into a better routine. And then all of a sudden our brain says, okay, what is the new reality? What does this look like? And this is where we have to plan for the new normal. Now, you or your people may be in any one of those phases. And if they're in any one of those phases, you have to recognize and assess where they are, because that depends on how you react. And if for some people, they're still in the, oh gosh, this is wonderful. I get to work from home. This is no problem. I'm really excited about this. I never want to go back to the office. Interesting statistic on that. Gallup just came out with new information that said 59% of Americans, after working from home for a couple of weeks, have decided, I kind of like parts of this, and I do miss people in the office. I do miss seeing other people, but I can work from home at least a couple days a week moving forward. And many businesses have assessed as well. And they're looking at this and saying, wow, we could save a ton of money if people did work from home. Now, in this new reality of the workplace, just as a caveat, you as a leader have to recognize that working from home and working remotely is a great equalizer. And what I mean by that is we're not seeing you in the hallway, so we're not basing our judgment of you on your charming personality and your amazing charisma. We are basing it on the work you are doing. So that is a great equalizer. You are judged more and more on the work and the outcome you produce. So for some people, this is great. Maybe that person who's really shy, never spoke up at meetings, all of a sudden they are cranking out stuff and you had no idea how great they were. For other people, it's bad because they're really distracted with stuff at home. They're not producing like they normally could in the office setting. And because of that, they're really struggling. And then there's some people that you thought, I thought they were better than this, and they have not stepped up. And that can cause you, again, to do those reassessments. But part of this also is we need to know where our people are so that we can move forward. So in the chat box, and thanks, Lori. Yeah, I know they get the supply of toilet paper every night. I got to go. What do you see changing in the workplace, if you could put it in the chat box, what do you see changing about work environments after this, after we get over the fact that all of a sudden we can go see each other again, that we can have lunch with other people, and that we can start gathering in greater numbers? What do you see changing? I would love, love, love your ideas. Kathy, less paper. I totally agree with you. We're not printing as many things. Very nice. Offering more services online. You bet. While all of you know me well enough to know I love being with people and live audiences and seeing people face to face, but I have been doing more and more of my coaching and my corporate advising just like this. And yes, I am wearing pants. That's one of my assurances, is I will always wear pants. I get up every morning and put the same suit on and I come to my office. A new normal with remote staff, yes, it's going to be more and more normal. That's exactly right. I totally agree. Timelines are changing because things are getting done quicker. Thank you, Pam. I think you are absolutely right. Connie, you're right. There's going to be fewer people in the office. And that's something I want to talk with you as well when we get to that point. And many employers will realize that working from home is a viable option for more people. You're absolutely right, Jimmy. Where in the past they're like, no, 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 I have to see you. No. And it's not, as Crystal says, allowing more work from home remotely and maybe a more relaxed dress code in a financial institution. I totally see that happening. And people are becoming more approachable, more available. And I think that's going to be more key, because guess what? A lot of people don't even want to drive to the office to see their financial planner. They want to do it from the comfort of their home too. And more flexibility. Mercedes, oh my gosh, you know everything I'm talking about. So there's that. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And thanks, Christy, about results, not personality. People realize that people can get stuff done, and they're learning how to manage them and setting expectations. And we're going to go into that. Telehealth for sure will increase. Last year, I narrated a book on telemedicine. I actually read it with the voices it's a book online, and turns out that was a little ahead of its time. So that's awesome. William says better availability for computers for kids at home and the internet. Again, that is a double-edged sword, and many parents are really struggling with that idea that, you know, you've got to get your work done. Maybe your spouse, your partner has to get work done, and now the kids need the computer. In my neighborhood, Comcast, Xfinity, whoever it is, they've put together afternoon programming for kids to try to keep kids well entertained in the afternoon when they would normally be playing sports or at, you know, piano recitals or something. And as a result, in the afternoons in my neighborhood, and I live in a very small town, the bandwidth is terrible because they're offering more of this stuff for free in an effort to be responsive and helpful to families with kids at home. But as a result, the bandwidth has just gotten dismally bad in the afternoons. Kevin, you're absolutely right. Higher awareness and expertise in technology, supporting parents when they need to stay home with kids. I think it's not just kids, Lori, and thank you for raising that. It's also, as we need the flexibility to take care of our aging parents, that is key. And folks, we all know that salary attracts, benefits entice, but flexibility keeps people in the workplace. Fewer face-to-face meetings with clients and realizing that webinars can work. Thank you, Robin, you're absolutely right. Better online services and your technology better work. You're absolutely right. Better metrics for measuring productivity. And guess what? It is going to be exactly that. We don't care if you show up at the office and you are there for 8 hours. We want to know what it is you're accomplishing during that time. Christine, no more handshakes. I hope not. I hope that that touching each other comes back. Yeah, please don't ever pull that out of this video and say I said that, because that's going to sound weird. And then a plan when leaving the house to accomplish many errands. Yeah, remember when we used to leave the house and spend all day running errands, and now not so much. So working from home, better performance metrics again. Schools in Maine issuing computers. Yep. Flexible hours instead of the 9 to 5. That's exactly what I spoke on yesterday in the ARMED program. And rotations for office staff. You're absolutely right. This is great stuff. William, I miss hugs too. And I told people, I said, I'm pretty sure I already had this virus because I was in an event where we had 30,000 people, and I'm pretty sure I hugged and kissed everybody. So I don't think that's ever going to go away. Leaders today have to know more. We have to be able to plan more. We have to be comfortable with chaos and change. And we have to make change easier for all of our people. Now, one of the reasons, William and some of my other military friends on this call, Mercedes ladies, thank you so much for being here, I don't know if you remember, there was an old quote where a Russian admiral asked one of the American admirals, he said, why does the American Navy do so well in wartime? And the American admiral said, it's because war is chaos and we practice that on a daily basis. And that's a little bit funny, but it's kind of true. When you're used to dealing in chaos, it just makes it easier. So our job as leaders in any kind of crisis or virus or chaos or change or transition is to get people to take the right action at the right time with the right spirit to the right person every time. And that can be very challenging because not everybody has been through this before. Certainly nobody has been through something like this before. So how do we best lead through a crisis? Well, first, number one, we have to acknowledge the problem. And whatever that problem is and how it's affecting our people is what we have to acknowledge. For some people, this is awesome. But think about all of my medical practitioners. I do a lot of work in the medical field right now. And think of my medical practitioners who are working 12 on, 12 off, and 12 on, by the way, means 14, 16 hours on. And they're listening to all their friends complain about how bored they are. And it is so frustrating for them because all they're trying to do is get some sleep, get some food, and get back to work and try to help as many people as possible. So we have to acknowledge the problem for the people who are experiencing that problem at that time. And part of that is making sure that we, as the person in charge, understand how that issue is affecting our people, understand the real issue. So let's say you've got somebody working from home and they aren't producing. Well, maybe you want to find out why they're not producing. And there may be a perfectly legitimate reason why one of your top performers suddenly can't. A couple weeks ago in my neighborhood, we're all self-quarantined and somebody found a water main that was exploding, and in the process of fixing that, they hit a gas line, and then in the process of fixing that, they hit the internet. So for about 2.5 days, we had no water, no gas, and no Wi-Fi. And I have to tell you, I had to go back to a pen and paper. So it made me a little less productive as normal. So then we also have to ask the what if questions and get factual answers. So ask the question, what would be the worst case scenario? What would be the best case scenario? Map out the actions you would take for both of those, and then look at what would be the most likely scenario, because that's probably where it is. It's somewhere in the middle. And knowing what you would do in both of those situations helps you create the plan for what is the most likely thing to happen. So articulate the courses of action and the potential outcomes so that everybody understands what's at stake. And this is one of the things that some of my leaders said, I don't want to tell my people what's going on because I don't want to scare them. Folks, your people can handle bad news. What they cannot handle is uncertainty. They cannot handle the idea that you would not tell them things. That decreases their trust in you, does not increase their trust in you. People can handle bad news. They want facts and they want it from you. You are the person who delivers the news that they trust, not the media, not the hype on the internet, not their social media friends. You are the one who tells them the truth. And that's what you want to do. So how do you do that? Well, first you have to get people's input. And this is one of the plans I use. And many of you know, I have the book called the 5-Minute Solutions Book, which is 52 weeks to building a better business. And it finally came out in January. And the 5-Minute Brainstorming Plan is part of that. And this is a highly effective way of getting ideas, suggestions, but it also gets people to express what it is they're thinking. Thank you, Robin. You're right. Everybody's reality is different. We don't always know what someone else's reality is. And sometimes we think we know and we make assumptions, and that's bad. And this is why the 5-Minute Brainstorming Plan is so important, because we have to understand what our employees are thinking, what our staff is thinking, what our suppliers might be thinking. And all of our customers have their own unique insights. And we might think, okay, we're really scrambling to provide this for our customers, and it may not be what they need right now. Maybe they need something else. So this is the 5-Minute Brainstorming Plan. How do you do this? Well, effective brainstorming starts by getting people together. Now, you can do this virtually. You can do it at a table. You can use functions on video teleconferencing that include the whiteboard. You can use virtual sticky notes. You can go do round robins. You can do any of those things. And the idea is to get everyone to participate, even the super quiet people, even the people that you think, you know, maybe they never come up with great ideas. Let's face it. Your job is to speak last, because otherwise you have that bobblehead thing going on where you say, I think we should do this. And everybody goes, yep, that's a great idea. And then they don't think, because the thinking's been done for them. And worse, they think the decision was made about what's going to happen without consulting them. So leaders, you need to speak last. Otherwise, people will just think that you want whatever idea you came up with or whatever solution you discovered or decided, that you just want that validated and you don't really care what they think. And that creates a morale problem. People don't feel as though they should contribute because it doesn't matter. And you're not probably getting the input you need. So agree before you brainstorm to be open and inclusive to all ideas, even the really stupid ideas, even the dumb ideas. Everybody needs to be heard. And guess what? Sometimes people are seeing stuff that you are not thinking, you are not seeing, and you are not even aware of. And you think it's a dumb idea until you explore it and go, oh, I did not see it from that perspective. And again, this is why in business, we need as many different people as possible. We need different perspectives, different biases. And by biases, I mean, if you are coming from one part of the country, you may not see something in the same way somebody else from another part of the country. Men and women see things differently. Different generations see things differently. And we have to acknowledge everyone for their differences, make the magic happen, and consider people's perspectives. Now, if you're going to do this, ask questions. And here's my example on that. If I said, hey, name everything green on the planet, you'd look around and go, grass, trees, a car, and you'd really struggle. Questions need to be focused for particularly relevant ideas. And what I mean by that is if you ask overly general questions like, how can we improve our customer experience? Or worse, if you're the boss who walks around and goes, hey, how you doing today? Your people are going to say, good, fine, great. And you get no real information. So what you want to do is ask very specific questions. And again, if I say name everything green, grass, trees, a car, very different from if I said, open your refrigerator and name everything in your refrigerator that's green. And all of a sudden your brain goes, oh, lettuce, romaine lettuce, cucumbers, pickles, relish, and limes. Everything all of a sudden becomes very clear and you start to get more specific answers. And this is what you do in great brainstorming. So specificity creates relevance. And that's what I want to make sure you understand. So you can use index cards or post-it notes. You can sort things on a wall. You can have some, you can set up your iPad on a stand and you can get people's information and then put it on a whiteboard or your wall. And as people come in with ideas, you can be calling those things off. You can also do it electronically, of course. You can also just hold a meeting and say, okay, for 5 minutes, just throw out the dumbest, craziest ideas ever. If we had no constraints, what would we do to solve this problem? And listen to what people say. So you might want to say something like, with my medical people, how can we specifically improve the patient experience in our practice? So whatever industry you're in, make it a very specific question. You can alter this by, how can we improve the patient experience on our website? So now you're thinking specifically, the last time you went on your doctor's website or a portal that dealt with medical things, and how confusing was it or how easy was it for you to find what you needed? So then how can we improve the experience when people call us, when our patients call us? When was the last time your phone call to a medical office was quick, fast, easy, and you got exactly what you needed? So whatever these questions are, you can alter them for your specific environment, your specific workplace. And then how do we provide training for our current and emerging leaders, our staff, our emerging leaders? And right now, because we're in this place of perceived scarcity, and yes, most businesses are feeling like we've just got to cut everything we possibly can. We are going to trim everything. Our budgets for the year have been blown like a really bad March Madness bracket. I totally understand, but the place to cut is not training. And this is why for many people, that's the first thing they cut. And it's why we're doing these Wednesday webinars, because we've got to make sure people continue to get great information. And then what types of patients, and you can alter this, of course, for you, clients, customers, will we serve in 5 to 10 years? How are they going to be different today? Will telemedicine be possible? So again, I took a very narrow stream on this for patients because we think, well, gosh, as a financial planner, as you mentioned, Laura, your patients are happy. Yay! Oh, that's fantastic. That as a financial planner, you think, well, gosh, we can never just, meet with people over our computers. That somehow seems easier, but maybe that's what your clients want too. Are there other things that can be done electronically, online, use technology better. Cutting your own hair, no, that's not going to work. I'm just saying, I just don't see that happening. So capture the ideas and then do something with the ideas. And these ideas are what you're going to use to calmly figure out your strategy with your team. What does this look like? What are the possible courses of action? And then what do we need to do? Now, part of this is looking at policies, current policies, and whether or not they are still applicable. And then you look around and say, has somebody ever planned for this idea? And for many people, we say, well, we've never had a global pandemic before. But we have had crises before. We've had chaotic situations before. We have had SARS and H1N1 and swine flu. And so has somebody else already worked through what needs to happen? Do we have any policies that will be helpful? Or do we have any policies that are actually getting in the way of progress and getting things done? Because I got to tell you folks, this pandemic has caused certain states to say, you know what? If you're a medical person and you want to come work in our state, go for it. We will waive the requirements. We are seeing the vaccination process highly streamlined. We are seeing all kinds of production being shifted really quickly. These were policies, not rules. This isn't like the justice system. There were policies that were in place, but guess what? In a crisis, things become more clear. And that's part of the, okay, I'm going to say it, the advantage of a good crisis. Now, I'm an economist, as many of you know, and we hate to say it, but as economists, sometimes we like a good recession, and here's why. I'm not saying we like the suffering involved, and we don't like the fact that people are out of jobs. We don't like any of those things, but we do like the idea that people suddenly become, because they have to be, more clear on their priorities, more clear on allocation of resources. They better use their people because they have to. A good recession, and I say good recession, and I don't want you to say that I am taking any joy or delight in this. I am not. But a good recession or a good crisis, and by that I mean it's a real situation, forces leaders to make the right decisions. Because in many cases, folks, for the past 12 years, our businesses were good enough. We kind of muddled along because things were pretty good and it didn't take that much effort to be good. It was like picking stocks in the late 90s. You could take the Wall Street Journal, open it up to the stock page, throw it on your wall, throw darts at it, buy that stock, and probably make money. So that's what we're talking about, is as leaders, we've got to keep everybody informed as to what's going on and be very, very strategic with our resources. So people crave information. And you have to understand that, because as soon as there's a crisis, and I know this was true for 9/11, my civilian friends and my military friends will understand this, that, that during 9/11, we in the military knew what to do. Many of my civilian friends were glued to the TV, paralyzed by inactivity and the bad news. And they didn't feel as though they could do anything. They felt helpless and hopeless and wildly uncertain. Our job as leaders is to reassure people, let them know what's going on, give them information, and give them an idea of what our plan is. Do we have to have all the details? No. But we do have to let them know that we've got a plan in place and that we are working that plan. Give people information as soon as possible. In the book that I wrote with Peter Stark called Why Leaders Fail and the 7 Prescriptions for Leadership Success, the number 2 chapter is called Trust. And it was, are you torpedoing your trust by making some of these mistakes? And we had polled about 100,000 employees. And part of that was people felt as though their leadership was not giving them information in a timely manner, especially during times of chaos, change, and transition. So keep everybody informed. Now, hopefully you've got a crisis communication action plan. And what we mean by that is, let's say it's like the crisis that just swept through some southern states with a tornado, and people suddenly found themselves without their phones, without the ability to communicate. Communication methods are only effective if people know what to do and how to reach them and how to use them. So the time to create a communication crisis plan is ahead of time, not in the middle of it. But the big part of this is communicate more than you think you need to. And for many people, that's every single day. Now, I don't know about you, I'm also tired of getting the standard things from people. You know, maybe I bought a t-shirt 5 years ago at a resort stand in Florida, and now suddenly they sent me a note and saying they're here for me. Yeah, not helpful, not helpful. But knowing what's going on is helpful. I think some major companies have done a fantastic job about retooling, repurposing, and keeping top of mind while being helpful and not annoying. The Wynn Hotel is my example from yesterday. They came out and they've got their mixologist, their bartender, showing people how to make drinks at home. Last week, it was their chef showing people how to prepare interesting food. There is a restaurant here in Colorado Springs where the Italian chef what you do is you drive by during the day and you pick up a bag of all the stuff to make dinner at home, socially distanced. And then at 5 o'clock, he gets online with everybody and everybody's logging in on their computers and he's walking you how to make one of his signature dishes at home. What a brilliant idea. So as leaders, we have to share with people what our plan is to go forward, even when that doesn't seem like it's exactly related to what it is we do. Now, number 6, be specific, stick to the facts, be honest, and be timely. Again, don't be that overly emotional leader, because that causes us to think, wow, they're panicking, and that makes us not want to follow you. So be very specific, stick to the facts, be honest, and be timely. Is it okay to show emotion and say, hey, look, we're all tired? Yeah, I was trying to come into this webinar today, and that's exactly the moment that the kid unhooked the wireless router, and then the dog threw up on the floor. Yeah, you can say that, but that doesn't need to be every single day. And nobody likes a leader who's wallowing in self-pity and doubt and hunkering down and feeling scarce. That's not what we need. When communicating to your people or your external audiences, like what the Wynn is doing, what the major airline CEOs have done, be very specific, stick to the facts, and talk about how it affects them. What I wanted to know from my airline CEOs was, are you gonna start cleaning the planes, and do I keep my status? That's what I care about. So look at it from your user's perspective. You are the ones in control of your message. And if you are not in control of your message, who is? So there's that. Natalie, thanks for joining us. Don't worry, it's recorded. So action trumps fear. And this is, again, where I felt sorry for my friends at 9/11, because they could not take any action. They did not feel as though they had action to take, and they were paralyzed into this inactivity. So you as a leader have to give people tasks to keep your people focused. Now, you may have been giving them a larger task before, like, here's your job for the week, or, hey, you know your job for the week. But right now, you need to break up tasks so that people get small wins. This takes more communication. And it's things like, hey, Jimmy, thanks so much for being on this call today. Hey, what are you working on today? And then Jimmy comes back and tells me, I go, hey, that's great. Hey, can you let me know when that one thing was completed for, the Jones account? And then, because I'm having to track that too. And he comes back and gives you that status. And you're like, hey, Jimmy, thanks so much for getting on top of that today. Jimmy just got a win. You have to give your people small wins, and you have to make the finish line look like it's a little bit closer than it is. Nobody runs a marathon and thinks, wow, 26 miles. Yeah, I can do that real quickly. No, you do it step by step, and you map out the miles. And there's a reason they have mile markers every single mile, is so you feel like, okay, I've only got 8 miles to go. I've only got 5 miles to go. We have to give people wins, and action trumps fear. And this is where the 5-minute goal setting plan can be very, very helpful. So Dr. Natalie, thank you so much for jumping on in here. Because neurologically, you will know what I'm talking about. And we did discuss this in Napa. When you've got a goal, you're going to make it your goal. And this is great, especially if you're home with kids and you're parenting. What will you do today? So you can't just tell your kids what to do for the day. If you want them to own it, it has to be in their head and their language. I will do this today. I will accomplish this today. I will. And that becomes their goal. So because of that, sometimes people run into those challenges, those obstacles. Well, but I can't because. And we've all heard that. Goals are challenging for everybody because there's always obstacles. So if you allow your brain to focus just on the obstacles, your brain is going to do that. So what I want to encourage you to think about is, for every obstacle that you've got going on right now, whatever that is, just make a quick list. And I'm going to send you the 5-minute goals plan as well, if you don't already have it. And then to the other side of that, this is where the brainstorming techniques come back. You brainstorm on the solutions for those obstacles. Hey, we don't have enough computers for everybody. Okay, but we do have an iPod or an iPad, excuse me, that somebody could use, and they could work on that. We can break up the day. We can take shifts. Mommy needs to have the computer for a video conference at 10 o'clock, which means everybody gets a break and goes outside from 9:59 till 10:30, whatever it is. Have your brain focus on the solutions. And many people make New Year's resolutions, for example, and let's say you want to lose weight. Well, losing weight is a very nebulous thing. Well, okay, I want to lose 10 pounds. I will lose 10 pounds in 2020. Well, guess what? Now we're self-isolated, quarantined with a refrigerator. I don't know about you, but I'm starting to get a tan from my refrigerator light. And so the solution, of course, is drink more water throughout the day so you don't feel as hungry. Maybe work in a different part of the house where the refrigerator isn't. Make sure you eat a salad a day before you eat other things. Whatever the solutions are in your brain loves to hang on to those things. So that's the magic of the 5-minute plan. It also asks you to create action steps. So what are 5 action steps to make this goal a reality? What can you do right now? And again, break this down for your kids. If your kids say, you know what, I really want to memorize the preamble to the Constitution. Great, good for you. So how are you going to do that? You don't have them do the whole thing all at once. You do it sentence by sentence. So break it down, assign a due date, and work that way. And then ask yourself, what means success to you? I know when I'm successful when. What does that look like? So very quickly, because we're wrapping up, your calmness is contagious. You already know the very worst that could happen. You know that you have a plan in place to handle that. So provide reassurance to your people with your attitude as well as your actions so that your calmness is contagious for all of your people. And remember, leaders respond to crisis situations quickly. And even if it's just, we've got this situation, acknowledge the problem, and then you calmly figure out after brainstorming what it is you do. Remember, providing information right away matters. If you sit on it, wait for you to have perfect information, you're never going to have perfect information. So do it now, give people what you've got now. That enhances trust. And we know that great leaders step up to control other people's emotional reactions because people are acting right now in a state of heightened emotions, and that can create more uncertainty. And we also know we have to address those problems that come from this heightened emotional level. We have to step up. Folks, now is a time for leaders to step it up. So this is where you get the free stuff. This is at productiveleaders.com. It's /free. I'm doing a lot of webinars right now. And as many of you know, I use the keyword dog at kiwilive.com. So my friend Jeff Mason created this site called kiwilive.com. I don't know, maybe 8 years ago, 9 years ago, I can't even remember, as a way to electronically distribute documents that otherwise would just clutter up people's email boxes. And some people don't want stuff. That's great. So every time I do a program, I update Kiwi Live. So just check in with Kiwi Live every so often because there's going to be stuff there. And sometimes there's articles and sometimes there's free books and sometimes it just changes all the time depending on the audience. So that's where you get the stuff. I also wanted to share with you because some of you on the call today haven't been able to tell you my new book did come out. It's a terrible time to launch a new book. It's called Who Comes Next? Leadership Succession Planning Made Easy. And I was fortunate enough to co-author this with the amazing Meredith Elliott Powell. And there's a book, there's the full book that's finally out. There's a workbook that accompanies it. And this is the actual stuff that we use when we are building people's leadership bench to move into the future. And so with that, folks, you know how to get hold of me. I will stick around for another couple minutes. If you've got any questions on the call, I am so excited you joined me today. Again, this is the quick summary version of the seven steps to leading through a crisis. And I wish you all the best. And again, if you just need to jump on the phone with somebody and you're just having a rough day, just give me a call. I'm so honored you spent this time with me. So just give me a call and let me know how I can help. You don't even have to let me know how I can help. Just call me and say, this is what's going on with me. Do you have any thoughts? Or I can just be quiet and listen. So thank you so, so much for being with us today. I'll stick around and answer some questions. So have a great one. Bye-bye. Oh, yeah. Oh, Lori, yes. Oh gosh, I don't know if you can still hear me. So Lori, yes, I do have thoughts about one difficult employee. Absolutely. Everybody else is doing fine. So you're absolutely right. And that one employee. So yeah, let's jump on a call. Let's do that. Jake, thanks for joining us. Please give your wife a big old hug and a kiss from me. Socially, appropriate, of course. Thank you so, so much. Oh my goodness. Cecilia, yes, that MGMA, that was so much fun. And my medical people, God bless all of them. They are just it's just tough. And Pam, staffing changes may be needed. Yeah. Can you share ideas for, oh yeah. Oh, so some of my medical professionals, I'll just share with you, Pam, had to fire people. They had to lay people off. And it sounds crazy during a time of a pandemic when we desperately need medical people, but you got to remember 80% of the revenue is from elective surgeries and elective procedures. So guess what? Your kids aren't getting their tonsils taken out, and you're not fixing your bunions, and you're not getting your allergy test done because everybody's been told to stay away. So we have had to lay people off, and that is really, really tough. So some people are furloughing things. You're absolutely right. It's great that you can keep people with the PPP fund. I haven't found a whole lot of specific companies that have gotten that funding yet, but they're hopeful. So there's that. Betty, thank you for jumping on in. That's super sweet of you. That's awesome. And I guess I can do the chat here now because I'm not sharing anymore. So I just wanted to make sure that I answered everybody. Yeah, the one difficult employee. So I'll address that real quickly, Lori, just in case anybody else has that one difficult employee who just does not want to play well with others. There's almost always one. So for those people, what you can do is you can pull them aside, and here's the magic words. You know, hey, Joe Bob, I really need your help. And you basically tell them what you need them to do. You set the expectations of what they need to do so that they shape up. And you say it in that way, I need your help. So there's that. And see if that works. I've got some other suggestions as well. Oh, Cecilia, yeah, there's always a difficult person. And sometimes it's hard because they could be the owner of the company. Sometimes it's the head physician. Sometimes it's the medical director. And you say, you know, I really need your help. Right now, everybody is looking to you to be really positive, and it seems like you're really struggling. Is this something you want to talk about? So yeah, it can be very, very frustrating. And Laura, you're absolutely right. Really, really hurtful. And that's when you say, you know, throughout, we think this is only going to last another, you know, couple of weeks, maybe a couple months, but do you think that for the next couple of weeks, you could do this? And tell them specifically what you need them to do. Because many times they're feeling lost too. And when they're losing control, it gets really obvious. So that is, that can be really difficult, and it causes more work for you, of course. Of course. Oh, and Renee, the info on the telemedicine book. Yes, absolutely. I would love that. So Renee, if you send me an email if you're still online, and I will get that to you. Hey, Joe, thanks so much for popping on in from Florida. That's awesome. So that's great. Just send me an email, Renee, Mary@productiveleaders.com, and I'll send you that, because they put in a variety of different scenarios on what that would look like. Also, Renee, there is a company, I think it's in Virginia, and they do telemedicine, and they've got all the encryption and everything set up to do that. It's not just over Zoom, and they are helping people for free for a couple months, medical practices. So that's awesome. And I love that. I've been sitting in on a lot of the medical webinars as well. So yes. Jerry, yes, you will get a copy of this recording as soon as I chop this. And because again, I try to trim out all the junk in the beginning and the end. And I just wanted to make sure we covered everybody today. So, and Dr. Natalie, the free stuff, yay. So, you know, I love my 5-minute plans, and it's about all people can take right now is 5-minute solutions. So again, those are all in that one book. It's on Amazon, and thank you so much for mentioning that. And yeah, I'm getting a tan from my refrigerator light. Oh, Michael, so true, so true, so difficult. Normally my eating patterns are not quite like this. So there's that. So thanks, Allison. Super, super appreciate you being here. And Jimmy, you're right. Many organizations see training as low-hanging fruit because they don't understand that training has a direct impact on the bottom line and the success of the organization. You are so, so right. So yeah, the 5-minute plans, it's called I'll put it in the chat box. It's called 5 minutes per week, 52 weeks to building a better business. And again, the idea is just, it is just how you can make a solution right now. And then, yeah, FaceTime for visits. Yep, that's exactly right. Okay, so Rebecca, I think I may have missed your question, but let me look for it real fast. Oh, you're being paid to stay home and work only as needed. How do you keep the team from feeling insecure like they're not really needed? Oh, yeah. So thank you. Rebecca, that is a great question. And so here is what that is. that is when you say, this is such a great opportunity for us to focus on things that are good for us as well as our society right now. And sometimes that also comes with a significant pay increase. So what you can do is you can help people right now say, hey, now is a great time to relook at your household budget. You're not getting paid as much, and we understand that. We're very sorry about that. However, now is a great time to relook at your budget. Give people positive things they can do in order to move themselves or the organization forward. Now is the time when you can say, hey, I found some free programs, free training here. It's something that you might want to do this week. You know, keep the communication going and give people positive things that they can be doing in order to make themselves more valuable in the workplace. Continue to increase their human capital, their knowledge, their skills, their abilities, their experience, and encourage, just encourage weekly meetings about how people are doing. I'll share with you that I've got a group of people, some trusted friends, and we get together on Monday nights and we talk about, hey, how's business going? What are you doing? What's some good ideas? And then there's some other people I talk to a few times a week at set times. And it's just a check-in to make sure everybody's doing okay and staying focused and staying productive. Because even for the best, most productive person, this is a challenging time, and we've got to rely on each other more and help each other stay more focused and keep the team thinking as a team. Rely on each other like a team, think like a team, and think about how you're going to help other people. And this is be my last point. I promise I'll stop talking. And that is, especially for you, Rebecca, the team is still the team, even if they feel dissociated. And so how you combat that is you say, hey, I would like to have a weekly 30-minute meeting. We're not going to pay you, hop on if you want to, just to check in with everybody and see how you're doing. That will help. But the other part of this is, again, in a crisis situation, it is absolutely 100% natural for us to retreat into ourselves and focus on how this affects me. Oh, woe is me. This is so sad. This is so bad. When we really need to be focusing on other people. So when people start to feel very myopic, very introspective, very self-pitying, my goal is to try to get them to see how their actions are affecting other people and how they can positively impact other people. And that shifts it. So with that, folks, I am so, so grateful that you are here. Thank you so, so much again for being with us, and have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.